Okay, so we've taken care of a user connecting, disconnecting from the hub. What we also want to do is add the facility to send a message via the hub so that any connected clients in the same group can receive that new message. So what we'll do, we'll head over to our message controller to get a starting point for what we're going to do. And what we want to do is use this logic. We'll need to make some changes, but we'll use this logic to actually achieve this. So inside the message hub, what we'll do is we'll create a new method, and I'll just add it below the onDisconnected. And what we're going to do is say public async task, and we're going to say send message, and we're going to use our create message DTO and call it create message DTO and open the curly brackets, and we'll need to bring in our DTOs folder. So we'll say using API DTOs, and then what we'll do, we'll go to our message controller and we'll just copy all of the code inside here, and we'll copy this and just paste it into our send message method. Now there's certain things that we cannot do inside a Signal R hub. We don't have access to API responses because this is an HTTP response. We don't have access to that inside something that doesn't use HTTP. So we're going to need to make a few changes, but we'll just work through this and deal with each line at a time. So our username, easy. We're just going to get this from context.user, and we're going to say get username. The checking, if the recipient is trying to send a message to themselves, instead of returning a bad request, what we're going to need to do is throw a hub exception. So what we'll do, we'll change this, we'll remove that, and we'll say throw new hub exception, and we'll do that instead of the bad requests. And then what we need to do is go and get our users and our sender and our recipient from our user repository. And we're still going to need to do that. We're still going to need to get access to the users so that we can format the message response. So what we'll need to do, we'll also need to inject our user repository. So we'll say user repository and call it user repository. And let's just bring this down. And we'll create the field from parameter. And VS Code doesn't like this at all. It jumbles it up when I move down a line. So I'll just deal with this manually and bring this up and move it across. So now we've got our user repository available. Let's go and take a look at our send message method. So these two lines are fine. If the recipient equals null, then we're going to have to return or throw a new hub exception, and we'll just say not found user. And then for our message, we'll just need to bring in the API entities to create the new message. This stays the same. We're still going to add the message to our repository, and we still need to save the message to our repository. But inside, after we've saved it, what we'll do is we'll cut this particular line and paste it inside. And what we need to do inside here is get hold of the group name. So we're going to say var group equals, and we'll say get group name, and we're going to say sender.username, and we'll say recipient.username to get the group name. And then what we can do, instead of returning OK, what we can do is say await, and we can say clients and group, and we'll pass back the group, and then we'll say send async, and we'll say new message as the method name. And then what we can use is mapper.map, and we can go to our message DTO, and we'll pass in the message. And then because we're no longer returning from this, we do not need the final line here, and we'll just keep everything else as it is. So this is our send message in place, very similar to what we had before, but we've just refactored it for our Signal R hub. What we'll take a look at next is the client side of this.